So today we're going to take a look at the first serious pro game of ISO played here on Lotus by a Chinese team, TEC, against BLG. And first let's just take a look at the team comp, how is ISO fitting in. They've actually gone no Sentinel here on Lotus, kept a kind of normal Lotus comp other than that, but obviously you can see our ISO here. Makes some sense, I think, that with ISO you're going to be playing double duelist, often with Raze, I think, probably is the best pairing. So that makes sense, and let's see how they did. But just before we dive into that, first let's talk about the best way of getting better at Valorant and how you can do it for free. Because I'm talking about the Gosu Academy, the best way of getting better at Valorant, because as a part of the Gosu Academy, you'll get access to their 10-man sessions. And these 10-man sessions are played against people of a similar rank to you who are all also trying to get better at the game. And it's a different world compared to ranked, where there is actual team comms, where there are people who aren't flaming you for decisions that you make and are trying to be helpful, and you're all trying to get better at the game. It's a better experience than ranked, just playing it for a fun perspective, but it'll also help you get a lot better at the game, both as just a player and as a teammate. And you'll also be getting VOD reviews and sessions from tier 1 coaches as well. I mean, Neilzinho is the literal coach of Team Heretics, a tier 1 EMEA team. And I did mention that you can get this for free, because if you sign up using my link in the description down below, you will get a month of the Gosu Academy for no cost. So it is potentially a free way for a whole month of getting access to as many of those sessions as you want to, and you're going to get better at Valorant for free. So go and sign up for the Gosu Academy today using the link in the description or the pinned comment, and thanks to Gosu Academy for sponsoring the video. But now back to ISO, and really we have some interesting stuff going on even in the first round.
TC 和 BLG 的粉丝们，那可以看到阿博第一时间2个经济翻腾直接是来到外围，这一波是配合着秋叶的一波前顶。那可以看到在防守。
Now we're only really going to be focused on what the ISO is doing for this, so as soon as ISO dies in a round, we'll probably just skip past it. But as you saw in that first pistol round, it's kind of an aggressive idea. First, let me show you the pistol round buy in case you're interested. We went for a ghost and we went for the vulnerable here, and what they're going to do is quite an interesting idea. We've seen multiple teams try this. They're going to go for this kind of 3-player push out of C, 2-player push out of B, and they're going to send an ISO vulnerable down here and use it pretty early on in this round. We're going to blast back with the Rage. You see a Sky Flash coming out there. We're going to Omen TP. There goes the vulnerable. There goes the Omen Flash, and then swing out here. Now, unfortunately for them, ideally it would kind of be the other way around here, where maybe the ISO goes second, right? So that he can maybe get that kill and then get an orb, and have the kind of shield afterwards. But they do go 2 for 1. They get the kills. It's a nice idea with the ISO. Okay, moving on to round number 4, where they had one of their better ideas, and spoiler alert, a lot of the ideas that they use in this game weren't great for the ISO. We'll get into that when we get there, but this is probably one of the better ones, just quickly. It's going to be just your classic kind of A aggression here, Sky Flash, Raze Nade up here, send in the one-way, but they pair it with an ISO vulnerable coming in here from the ISO who's tucked in towards B as well, and obviously with the vulnerable here paired with the nade that you're about to see, you literally can't get out here, right? If you do get hit by that, you will die, so you kind of can't go there, and that allows them to put up this useless one-way that teams are still doing for some reason. By the way, this one-way is useless because you just put up the Viper wall and they just walk past it, and it's not a one-way. One day teams will learn that, but we're still not quite there. Okay, now let's move on to round number 6, and what you're about to see is an attempted C exec here from BLG. You see we just got our Viper here, but our ISO is on the way, and also our ISO has their ultimate. So let's see how it plays out.
抓对方第一波进攻的 timing， 但是有张云其实无限的续他，对方还挺难受的。
是的，但小黑的位置其实如果是开暗射过来找他的话，他也是很危险的。
对，
来了，叶里直接推王浩哲开大近点的一炮，从头上轰了过去，而且一绝来给你强行1v1的 battle， 但是王浩哲他胜出了。
他是内主，但是侧面的话，队友补枪非常的快。
那这一份技能的互换之后，宝典里面又是仅剩一个小编，但对手的血量并不是很充足。小编的话是一个名牌位，他能否利用自己的个人实力去掰回来呢？贴到近点的有3队支援过来了，有3队一波双杀到手，但最终。
Okay, so a very chaotic round, and as we saw, the first part we need to talk about actually with ISO is not the ult, but actually this vulnerable. Right, because we see some of the problems with this vulnerable that's coming out just now. One, the angle, right? Obviously, and this is going to be a problem a lot. The angle that you're shooting this out of is only going to catch like a fraction of these people coming out towards seed, right? And in fact, in this instance, the Raze is going to blast back, and YZ, I'm pretty sure, is going to end up over the top of it as well. So even though it's not like a badly placed vulnerable, and it's a good idea to use one in that scenario, because of the angle we're using it on, I don't actually think we hit anyone. Now, we see the rows are right in there, and then we get the ISO ult, right? And obviously, they lose the ISO ult. Obviously, don't lose your ISO ults. That would be part one. But the ISO ult buys them enough time here to where rotates can come in, right? And so we see that by the time the raise actually comes back, which is like now, the rotates are in and this raise doesn't know where they are, right? And is a free kill as well. Dies straight away. And now you see that like the rest of the team, we've already got 3 players flooding back in here and on into the site, right? So although we didn't get a kill from the ISO ult, we kind of did, really, because the raise ended up being a pretty free kill, and it bought us some time to at least rotate. Okay, now round number 11, and by this point, we've actually got the ISO ult back up again. And this time, their setup, though, I don't love it. They're going to go for, you know, this kind of heavy, you know, C trap play. And the idea behind this is that they've got their ISO ult that they're going to send out like this. They've got their raise ready to ult as well and blast back out here. And you've got the Sky and the Omen ready to attack as well. So they're expecting here, they're waiting here for some kind of big, you know, C hit to come in from BLG. But it doesn't, right? Maybe they're waiting for the lockdown that BLG have got. And so you see what ends up happening is BLG actually end up walking away. And obviously they don't have a Sentinel. So there's nothing to kind of tell them, you know, you could do this off turret contact or something, right? But they don't have anything like that. So they send out this Sky Flash. But the problem is they're going to send out this Sky Flash like super high here. So it actually does catch Rin, right? Rin actually gets blinded by a Sky Flash that come out that, you know, ends up about here, but it's so high that it catches him. So off the back of that, they then go for the ISO ult. But it misses. And there's no one there. Now, that does give them the information that, you know, hey, no one's here on C. And so that does allow them to rotate. But, of course, this map is quite big, and they're already way behind the curve. And as I said, some of the usage wasn't perfect in this game, as round 12 also showed.
哎，那可以看到这份 BLG 的枪械其实非常差的，很多霰弹枪。那这样的话，想打一个最近的交火距离，但是这把明狙的确没有狙到。秋叶的话是做了一个保镖，往后这黑着就跳了进来，被对方摘了下去。
So for me here in this one, what we've got obviously is this op, and again, you've got this heavy setup here with the 3 players over towards B, so they have a pretty good read of what's going on. But then they get fade ulted, right? You get fade ulted here, and what I don't understand is why are we not vulnerabling this, right? Why don't we use a vulnerable here? You know, as soon as that fade ult comes out and is coming on you, you know, our raise has time to miss an op shot and throw a nade. You know, we've still got 2 vulnerables here. Right? Why is that the case? This would be like, you know, a perfect opportunity. This is a very close space, right? Tight spaces in here towards B. You're probably going to hit multiple people. They're not going to be able to come into the site. Yes, you get the kill on YZ because the Omen flash was good, you know, and then the wall goes up and yeah, sure, we get our little orb there and we're able to survive, but you know, this isn't the usage. And then you see we use a vulnerable there that really doesn't hit anything. If I come back, you'll see it coming on the map, right? We're just guessing at this point, right? We don't know where they are. We're just hoping. Yeah, it might stop them coming in if it hits them, but, you know, our reaction there was a little slow, and you could tell perhaps we haven't had a ton of practice on this agent. Speaking of which, let's come to our attack side buy on the pistol round here, because this just, again, shows what are we doing, right? We've gone for a classic light shields here. That's fine. We got the 1 vulnerable. We got 200 credits left. You know what 200 credits buys? Another one of these. Why are we, what are we saving 200 credits for? Again, it just goes to show we clearly haven't put in the time to even understand some of the basics of this agent. And then round 17, I'm just gonna play it for you.
点位，
而且这一分的话，双方中近技能很多，强顶一波。
顶了过来，秋叶大招还没开，直接是被对方摘掉了，而且往后。
And the first thing I'm going to show you here is just how deep the ISO ult goes here from C, because if you ult from behind this wall, it goes like pretty deep in onto the site, right? So taking this risk in coming all the way up here to ult instead, yeah, sure, it'll catch like all the way back here. But do we need to be like a little kid just blindly running in when this ult will probably catch someone a decent amount of the time as well? Because when we watch this again, like, I mean, it's just crazy, right? We send in the flash, we send in the wall, we send in the nade, it's all good. But honestly, as soon as this flash, if this flash catches someone, you can ult from back here, right? You pretty much know, like, okay, they're either out or they're like in here, right? They're in the kind of like a little archway here, right? If this flash goes off. So then just ult. You know, why do we, like, as soon as, like, what? Right? Because we just end up like a little kid, you know, just running forward blindly, and we die, and, you know, then obviously we go back and forth and whatnot, but, Okay, next one, round number 19 here, and what we're going to do is we're going to go for a full A take here, kind of fight from both sides, and you see we send out this wall early on, we then send out this vulnerable, you can just see just here as well, and it catches on to our teammate. So again, just straight away, we're, doing stuff that, we're getting our teammate vulnerable, potentially putting them in a bad spot, right? Obviously, it does fade by the time they kind of get there, but again, when I said it wasn't great in this map, I did mean it. Okay, and then final one here, round number 21, and again, it's going to be this fast kind of C hit. We send the Sky Flash out, we send our little wall out as well. Now, this flash doesn't catch anyone here, right? So we're going to send out a vulnerable here as well. Maybe we don't need to if the flash doesn't catch anyone. Maybe that, whatever, right? But okay, it's all fine up to this point. We activate the little shield thing, we come in onto the site, it's all fine, right? We're coming in, and then we're about to ult out here as well, right? And so we're going to miss another ult. Hard to do, I would say, to miss this many ults in one game, but they are going to manage to do it. But this is the thing. This, to me, isn't necessarily a problem of missing this ult, because if you do ever miss an ult like this gives you quite a lot of information. The thing is, the rest of the team here isn't in position to play off of this, right? There's a chance that if you wait a bit, right, and we take more of the site, and then you ult like this, you either catch someone in that ult, or if there's no one there, your teammates can just take this space, right? But because we're doing it like too early for the rest of the team, they're kind of clearing the rest of the site still. We're not going to have the time to get into that space because we don't know that, someone's right on the edge of this and they're going to, come back in on it. So again, you can see potential here of like, oh yeah, you could use this ult here, when we're kind of ready to go for this kind of play. Because again, even if you lose that ult at that point, we can come and trade it because we're trying to take this space very aggressively. So, it's not a bad idea, but again, the execution just wasn't there. We end up just using the ult, and you see, the delay is there to where it's not like they go and take this space off the back of that, pretty good information, and they actually used another vulnerable there, as you saw, back out there, and there's a killjoy lockdown coming in from the defenders, and you would have thought that this might be a good time, if they do have a killjoy lockdown, and, you take the site, obviously, to kind of somewhat counter them flooding back in. I mean, you could even, try and stay on the site if you wanted to and try and time it with the killjoy lockdown and use it and then be back on the site after the killjoy lockdown is gone. So as we saw there, ISO, first pro game, first proper game, the usage wasn't great. I think you could see some of the ideas. You can see that ISO, isn't useless. Right? He isn't useless. There are some things that you can do with him. There are combos that you can do with him. There are ideas there to be had. But it wasn't this game.